If you've ever thought about investing in real estate or currently invest in real estate, you need to understand that your private property rights are being placed in jeopardy right now. Your ability to go out there and acquire a property and to watch it appreciate in value and get rental income out of it, that is in jeopardy. And the reason for that is because of these moves that governments, the federal government and certain state governments, are making. So before you go out there and get another mortgage on a property in order to get some income, rental income off of it, watch this video. Because by the end of this video, you're going to learn how government mismanagement is really eroding the profitability of rental real estate, investment real estate. So this has got to stop. We've got to get the government out of real estate and let that market flourish as it has for so long for so many people. It's been the major way that a mom and pop investor or some small fry can actually accumulate wealth and go on and pass that wealth to their heirs. So let's look at what's happening in California. This is what we're going to concentrate on in this video, but there are threats to real estate in other states as well that we're going to take a long look at. Now, this is from Zero Hedge. They posted this today, as a matter of fact. California Governor Gavin Newsom says the state will make landlords whole whose tenants have accumulated past due rents amid the events of 2020, despite the fact that the state has only distributed 32 million of the 490 million in requests for rental assistance through May 31st. So there we see a little bit of government, a lot of government mismanagement. People are requesting this money. The money's there, and the government is slow to dole it out to the people who are in need of it. Those people who are trying to rent their property in the midst of maybe losing their job, losing their business, losing their income. So it's made paying rent very, very difficult. But these eviction moratoriums, which we'll see here in a minute, California's thinking about extending theirs. These eviction moratoriums then put pressure on who? The property owner, because if rents aren't coming in, it's making it impossible for them to turn around and pay the mortgage. We continue. The state is also weighing whether to extend the eviction moratorium for unpaid rent beyond June 30th. That's a deadline that'll be here in a couple of weeks. Now, this federal eviction protection is set to expire on the same date. So you've got the state's moratorium and the federal government's moratorium both coming to an end. So the state is saying that they are thinking about going ahead and extending theirs. But let's consider that for a moment. You've got the federal government and the state government, both of which, in the case of California, have come out and said, property owners, guess what? We're going to worry about you later. We're going to take preemptive action and put a moratorium on you getting paid. Now, I'm a realist. I know that if the government shut things down, it made it impossible for a lot of people to continue to derive an income. So they weren't able to pay their rent. You can't get water from a rock. But the question is, if we look back at what happened, did the government have the right to actually impose a moratorium on rents? Now, we have seen a federal judge strike down the eviction moratorium at the federal level. Now, that's going to proceed through the courts, and eventually it may get to a point where the Supreme Court takes it up. And then we'll see if the high court believes that the federal government, at least, had the authority to go ahead and impose such a moratorium. I think the court is going to rule that it's an affront to private property rights, and it gets in the middle of a legally binding contract between the landlord and the tenant. Now, were the states and the federal government, were states especially, were they well within their right to shut down their courts? Sure. And if you don't have a court operating, you can't proceed with an eviction. But that was something that they had within their purview, interfering with the private contract between owner and tenant. I don't know. We'll see what the court decides. An extension of the eviction ban seems likely to give California more time to spend all of the money to cover unpaid rent. So they're pontificating. That's what politicians do, while people deal with the ramifications of what the politicians have decided. The expectation for people to be up and at 'em and ready to pay rent on July 1st is wholeheartedly unfair, said Kelly Lloyd, a 43-year-old single mother who hasn't worked consistently since March 2020. Lloyd owes $30,000 in back rent for her $1,924 per month, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, rent-controlled apartment in the Crenshaw district of Los Angeles. Wow, that's expensive. And that's why I always tell you, real estate's a hyper-local market. You got a $2,000 rent on a 2-bedroom in Crenshaw. Okay, so it's pretty steep by East Coast standards, but it is what it is. That's what the market demands out there. And Ms. Lloyd is saying, hey, what am I supposed to do? You, government, you put me out of work because you closed down the economy. And here I am. So I do empathize with that. I mean, she is right. Simply because the state has opened back up doesn't mean people have access to their jobs, Ms. Lloyd said. And, there's a lot of truth in that. Let's say that, you do have jobs available. And California is saying that they do have jobs available. But let's say the job pays $40,000 less than you were making. If you were making $70,000, now you're making $30,000. Yeah, there's money in your pocket, but it's not going to meet the expense level that you had before. And a lot of people out there might say, oh, well, you've got to adjust. Well, that's a lot easier said than done. Let's be honest here. If people have obligations with their children, a big pay cut could mean that you end up having to totally relocate out of an area, especially an area as expensive as California. And that could change your job prospects depending on what your skill level is and what you do. So the purpose of this video is just to take a look at the way in which this has been prosecuted by state and the federal governments, and to ask ourselves, is this something that we're okay with? Are we okay with the government just unilaterally deciding to make a decision that impacts your private property, just boom, on a whim? Okay, we can go further and examine what happened with the shutdowns in terms of local businesses. Now, I know in our case, my wife and I, there have been at least 4 of our favorite restaurants gone. All the employees, owners not coming back, it's over. So how does that impact their lives? How does it impact the overall economy when we let the government make these types of unilateral decisions? This is something that's going to be debated for a while now in the aftermath of 2020. Stay tuned. We will talk about it extensively. Talk to you soon.